Hello and welcome everyone to PW OnlyIAS English channel. So we are bringing up the Economic Survey 2025 key highlights, the top 10 key highlights of Economic Survey. What is the employment rate? How much is the expectation about the GDP growth rate in the coming year, in the 2025-2026? First of all, let us understand why is it called as Economic Survey 2024-2025. Based upon the survey of the year that just went by, the financial year, the conditions that were observed in the previous year, based upon that survey, we are projecting growth. We are forecasting about growth, about employment, about the contribution of your manufacturing, service sector and agriculture to the Indian economy. What are the global challenges that surround India? Under what context is this growth going to take? These projections are important for correct prediction or projections of the budget estimates. It is on the estimates of tax collection that government plans the budget. So that is why one day before the presentation of the budget, economic survey is released so that the information could be sent to the discussed with the people, disbursed with the people, disseminated amongst the citizens of India, and on that basis they can make an informed opinion. Now, why is this budget important from the UPSC perspective, from the civil services examination perspective, or for that matter any other government examination perspective? We should know this. Why? Because throughout the year we come across a lot of data. Acer survey, your annual survey of education report, then your Pratham NGO, so much of data. World Economic Forum is saying something about India, then some other body, World Bank is saying something about India, then International Monetary Fund is saying. Those are the private agencies, non-government agencies, I would say. When it comes to the government examination, we should rely on the data by the government body. That is the purpose of it. So economic survey earlier from 1950 onwards, 1951 onwards was presented along with the budget. But since 1964, a practice has been adopted that the economic survey is released one day prior to the budget, so that press and everything, media, press, news channels and people like us, we are aware as to what the economic survey said. Based upon that, we will evaluate the budget. Budget is nothing but an account of expenses, income of the government, and that expenses, those expenditure, be it charged expenditure, non-charged expenditure, the income of the government, tax revenue, non-tax revenue, is based upon the survey. In Hindi, सर्वेक्षण of a holistic survey of the whole economy. International account of India. What does the current account deficit say? What is going to be the fiscal deficit? What are the NPAs of the banks in India? Economic survey talks about all these things. So you can see here, budget economic survey highlights both the parts of the economic survey. Both the parts of the economic survey highlight the economic indicators such as agricultural and industrial production, infrastructure, then your employment, money supply, prices, imports, exports and foreign exchange reserves. Okay, so all these things are delineated, are very well articulated with the reasons behind why the growth is falling, why unemployment is falling, if at all it is falling. What is going to be the projected growth rate? On what basis that projected growth rate for the ensuing year, for the coming financial year 2025-2026 is being forecast? It is not a kind of arrow in the air. It is based upon projections and the data. Okay, so all this reflects on the factors. All this is based upon the factors influencing the economy and their impact on the government's fiscal strategy. Okay, tomorrow we'll be doing the budget session. We'll be having a thorough discussion on the budget. In that budget session, I'll be telling you how the data that is being revealed by the government in the economic survey through the medium of economic survey is used in the formulation of the budget. First, your parents, like anybody, any family, they project the income. Based upon that, they project their expenses. Okay, how much would be father's salary? Likewise, in the Indian economy, we do a survey of various sectors: education, employment, skill training, how much is going to be spent on digital sector, digital currency. So many things are to be studied in order to prepare a holistic plan for the Indian economy. Right. Now, coming to the quick highlights of the budget. Yesterday, President Murmu and our Honorable Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, they unveiled some excerpts from the budget. Reform, perform and transform. Okay, so this is the agenda. Economic survey, you can say the theme of it. President Murmu released this line that reform, perform and transform have become the strong pillars of the India's governance model. Reform, then perform and then transform the fate of 140 crore people. So reforms are necessary. That is why Modi government is known for so many reforms. Many a times it has happened that whatever has been the theme of plans, economic survey has been asked in the UPSC questions, be it economics or public administration or political science or in interview also. Okay, so or in essay for that matter. So be prepared. Reform, transform, reform, perform and transform. Okay, so this is the adage that they have given. GDP growth rate of 6.3 to 6.8% is expected. So budget economic survey highlights, economic survey is likely to project, it has projected now that GDP will grow around 6.3 to 6.8% in the year, financial year that is starting from 1st of April 2025. All right. So economic survey is a survey of previous year to predict the things for the next year, to project things for the next year. Okay. It states that economic conditions will remain sluggish next year. Okay. Economic survey is being very honest about it, that the economy may not be performing as well the next year. Now, China's rapid industrial expansion is reshaping the global economic order. Now, a threat has been highlighted as it is a projection. All the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats of India have to be highlighted. So here, the survey is being very open about it, that according to economic survey, UNIDO, United Nations Industrial Development Organization, says that the economy of China will account for 45% of global manufacturing capacity by 2030. Okay, surpassing the United States and its allies combined. So the tagline here is that even if all the major economies of the world gang up together, okay, Western world, Germany, France, US, time for China has come. This is a challenge for India also. India has missed the manufacturing bus to enhance its manufacturing capabilities. Okay, the advanced technologies, be it we talk about the new AI model that has been unveiled by China yesterday. So all those things are going to impinge upon, are going to affect rather India's growth story. And by 2030, China is going to have 45% of the global manufacturing share. Even though we talk about Apple plant shifting to India, Apple is shifting manufacturing capacity to India, many car companies, automobile companies are shifting to India thanks to the rising labor cost in China, thanks to the negative sentiment around China. But the reality says this thing. Okay, so India will have to manage this China factor and when it comes to manufacturing capacity. Also, we already know that we have a huge trade deficit with China that needs to be seen through the prism of further increase in the manufacturing capacity of China. Now, moving further, the gross non-performing assets of the banks declined to a 12-year low of 2.6% of gross loans and advances as per the RBI's financial stability report. So, economic survey is quoting RBI's financial stability report just to give it the credibility that government was criticized for suit boot ki sarkar, for government of the big people, government of the rich people. Okay, now they were lending loans to Anil Ambani. So much of criticism has happened. Nirav Modi, then you talk about Vijay Mallya. Okay, but now the reality it says is, thanks to the reforms brought about by the Modi government, Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, Insolvency Bankruptcy Board of India, National Company Law Tribunal. Okay, so much of facilitatory mechanisms have been brought about to resolve delinquency. We see in aviation sector a lot of companies have failed. Taking into account everything, okay, 12-year low of 2.6% of gross NPAs, gross loans and advances. Of the total loans and advances given by the government of India, only 2.6% are turning out to be bad. Okay, they are not paying. So this is what the economic survey says. But we'll do the critical analysis in the coming days through the medium of our current affairs classes. We'll see that insolvency and bankruptcy code has been diluted by the successive judgments of the Supreme Court. Okay, it has its own criticism. Next point, the unemployment rate has reduced to 3.2% from the high of 6% in 2017-18. In 2017-18, because of the steps like demonetization, GST, the unemployment rate, because of things like demonetization, okay, etc., the unemployment rate had shot up to 6%. That means of the 100 people who were willing to work, who had registered themselves with the Unemployment Office of India seeking employment, they were rendered unemployed. Of the 100, 6 people, of the 100 such people above the age of 18 years, 6 were not getting any kind of work. Right? Periodic labor force survey as per various estimates of Ministry of Labor and Employment and Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. All right. Now, current account deficit is at 1.2% of GDP. So, current account deficit, the account of India's trade with the rest of the world. Thanks to the increase or appreciation in the price of dollar vis-a-vis rupee in the last few weeks, we have been talking about it in the current affairs, our current account deficit has been widening. But economic survey says us the contrary. It is saying that the India's current account deficit stood at 1.2% of GDP due to rising net service receipts. Thanks to India's service imports by countries like Infosys, Wipro, Tata Consultancy Services, Hotel, etc. Okay, our service receipts by the service sector, they are increasing, thereby helping Indian government, helping RBI to manage India's current account deficit well. Okay, but on the other hand, increase in the private transfer receipts. Transfer receipts, you all know, like the receipts, foreign remittances, etc. Then if somebody is owning a hotel in US and is getting some money as the rent for that hotel or restaurant in Canada, for example. Okay, so that those transfer receipts and rising net service sector receipts are leading to reduction in current account deficit, even though dollar has been appreciating in the recent past ever since the rally around victory of Donald Trump. Right now, budget this according to the first advanced estimates of national income, India's real GDP growth was 6.4%. Okay, 6.4%. These are advanced estimates. Okay, which remains close to the decadal average. That means of the last around 10 years, the average growth rate has hovered around this rate only. So the rate of growth that Indian economy is clocking this year, financial year 2024-2025, is going to be 6.4% as per advanced estimates. Based upon this, we can project that India's growth in 2025-2026 is going to be 6.8%. 6.4 to 6.8% is going to be the growth rate of India. Every percentage point matters here because it will generate a lot of tax revenue, right? It will generate a lot of income, corporate tax, GST collections. Everything hinges on good growth number. If India's growth is going to be better, government will get some more money to invest on schemes like Manrega, infrastructure, production linked incentive, skill training, loans for micro, small and medium enterprises. Everything hinges on this thing. Now, growth in capital expenditure. Economic survey says that capital expenditure has grown from financial year 2021 to 2024. That means if the government is spending 100 rupees overall, government's expenditure on capital assets, buying new buses, investing in new Vande Bharat trains, investing in new airports, etc., investing in new manufacturing capacities has been increasing. Okay. Now, revenue expenditure is considered to be bad expenditure. Revenue expenditure is recurring expenditure. Expenditure on salaries payment to the Government of India employees. Expenditure on payment of pensions to our Fauji's, retired defense personnel. So those expenditure may not be as good as capital expenditure. So government says that capex has grown by 8.2% during July-November 2024 on an year-on-year basis. That means when compared with the previous year 2023-2024, for the months of July 2023 to July-November 2023, over July-November 2024, the capital expenditure, if in the previous year July-November it was 100 rupees, this time around it is 108.4 rupees. An appreciation, an increase in the capital expenditure by government to the tune of 8 rupees. Okay, 8.4 rupees for every 100. Global risks. So S. Shankar along with our finance minister. Geopolitical risks remain elevated due to ongoing conflicts and tensions. Even though there has been a peace deal brokered by Donald Trump between Israel and Palestine, but you never know how longer is it going to last. Then we see Myanmar, India's neighboring countries. Then we see North Korean leader, testing or visiting nuclear facility. Then Russia-Ukraine war is not going to see end anytime soon. So these global risk factors are going to continue, and India will have to juggle, India will have to manage these factors in order to tread towards, in order to achieve that growth rate of 6.4 to 6.8%. And arrival of the Donald Trump as the president again will be a factor that India will have to grapple with. It has to be managed. New president will come up with the new policies where India will be placed in the new scheme of things, will have to be seen in the US policy. Okay, so those things are going to be a factor which is highly variable. Now here, foreign direct investment inflows. FDI comes into India, it increases our growth rate. So these foreign direct inflows, okay, so they matter a lot to India because Indian economy is highly hungry for investment. We need more people to invest in our country. So for that to happen, what do we need? More of FDI. But economic survey admits the fact that the FDI inflows into the country have dropped from $42 billion during financial year 23 to $26.5 billion. Okay, FDI comes in the form of new startups. FDI comes in the form of Vodafone, Airtel, these not Airtel, Vodafone, other international companies, be it in oil exploration, telecom, defense, infrastructure, investing into India's growth story. Okay, buying the shares of Indian companies on a permanent basis. Okay, not through FII route, not through the stock market route. So that FDI helps India grow, helps generate more employment opportunities in India. But here the economic survey says that this is going to, the FDI inflows have reduced by around, you can see around 15.5 billion dollars, and $1 billion is around 8,200 crore rupees. Now, the good thing is gross FDI inflows moderated by just 0.6%. See, the economic survey is giving us the relief that in percentage terms, the FDI inflows have not reduced as much. Okay, so we can heave a sigh of relief over here. Global trade disputes could derail India's 2070 net zero carbon goal. We have set a goal for ourselves under the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change that India would be able to achieve net zero carbon emissions by 2070. For this, India needs critical non-emission technologies, critical technologies like e-cells, photovoltaic technology for LED batteries, okay, solar panels. These critical technologies are with the advanced countries like the US or Western economies, Germany, France, etc. But these global disputes, tax regime, customs duty hike, etc., tariff rate fights, these things might affect the import of such critical technology to India at an affordable price. So we might have to revisit our 2070 net zero emissions target in the light of these global trade disputes. Okay, whenever Donald Trump has come to power, last time also, he indulged in dispute with WTO, dispute resolution mechanism. Those kind of things would derail or would slow down the transfer of that critically important technology for India, which is required for adopting greener technologies. So this is the crux here. Now, digital fraud, cyber crime, and deep fake, they are going to pose challenges. Economic survey underlines the fact that these things are going to pose challenges to India. Digital fraud could emanate from things like bitcoins, from cryptocurrency, etc. Okay, we have to tread our way cautiously when it comes to this thing. Okay, now this was a brief on top 10 highlights of economic survey. Economic survey chapter wise discussion, etc. we will do in the current affairs class, daily current affairs class. I'll try to incorporate a leaf out of economic survey in every day's current affairs class. Okay, if that suits you, that is fine. Otherwise, you can comment in this comment section of this video itself if you want a dedicated chapter wise economic survey discussion on this channel by me, Jatin Verma. Okay, now stay tuned for the tomorrow's budget session. Detailed analysis of budget, point by point analysis of Nirmala Sitharaman ma'am's budget speech as to what is in it for we, the UPSC aspirants. Okay, so it was again a pleasure for me to go through the economic survey chapters quickly to dig out these details for you. We'll bring out such more content under the budget session. Stay tuned for tomorrow. Thank you guys. Bye-bye.